My name is Hal Hansen. I'm here today with Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League champion Steve Boyd for the last 6 years, 12 years in the competition. Last consecutive 3 years you've won it, 6 years total.
Right.
Steve, I want to ask you a few questions. Starting off with, when you go back to when you first can remember, your first thought of wanting to buy a tractor, and when was that, and what made you want to buy that first tractor?
Well, back in the 60s, you know, we were kids, and my dad, they had a local fair up here at Plainville, Indiana, and we watched my dad and people work for my dad pull old tractors. They used to drag a sled on the concrete, and they'd put so many blocks on them and get them going. And then it advanced a little more, and I suppose probably in the late 60s, we probably done a little pulling in the farm classes, me and my brother. And then we done it pretty heavily there in 71 or 2 with a tractor in the same class we're in now, but they didn't have near as much power. Probably had 400 or 500 horsepower, you know, maybe 300 or 400 horsepower. Okay. Then today it's advanced up to where they have 2750 or more.
Okay. And you've been a farmer for how many years?
My whole life.
Your whole life.
All I ever done, you know.
Okay. And what would you say has brought you to build your business to where it has become today, to the point of where you can get into something like tractor pulling, and where, you know, for someone who's just starting out, how did you decide, how did you get to that point?
Well, I think probably as we grew up as kids, you know, your parents have to keep you around a good environment. And, you know, always said the Lord comes first. If your heart's right with the Lord, the rest of it will take care of itself. Your family and friends, and then your job. But we've worked hard. We've always tried to put first things first, and we've had good help, a lot of smart people. At one time of year stage you worked for us, so that was great. We had a good time, and you were very, very talented. But
learned a lot.
We worked hard, and you know, the Lord's been with us.
Great. Okay, so we're going to go to the Lucas Oil tractor pulling, and Lucas Oil is one of your sponsors. Can you tell me a little bit of how a sponsorship works and how you became part of Lucas Oil?
Well, probably back in the late 90s or early 2000s, why we were having a lot of bearing problems. Couldn't keep the bearings in the bottom end. Of course, as more horsepower you make, the more problems you have. And so I thought maybe we didn't have enough flow through our filters, and I had got a hold of System 1 filters that makes filters for like Top Fuel and whatnot, and they sent me filters which we thought would solve the problem, and it didn't. And they asked me what kind of oil I ran, and I said, you know, Valvoline, or I've ran different kinds. But they asked me if I knew Forrest Lucas, and I said, yeah, I'd heard of him. And so anyway, Forrest, make a long story short, Forrest came here and looked at our bearing problems and prescribed the engine oil he recommended for us to use with his stabilizer. And I never changed anything. I run bearings for 2 years when I was taking them out after every run or two. So, you know, that made us really appreciate his products. And then we got acquainted, and then he wanted to sponsor our tractors, and we were happy to do it, and went on from there.
And with that sponsorship, he actually provides you with some money or parts, or how does exactly?
Yeah, he provided us with engine oil and money. And, you know, he's just such a good guy. And then he wanted to put a tractor in the Lucas Oil Stadium, and I told him I'd give him one if he got it put in there. And he got that done, and we gave him the tractor, and he put it in the Lucas Oil Stadium.
Which can be seen right now at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, with the Colts.
All right, and the big question we all want to know, Steve, is what exactly would you estimate the cost of running one of these down the track is?
Well, that's such a variable. You know, you probably have, I suppose you have close to 200,000, 250,000 in a tractor, maybe 300, but you can certainly spend a couple $100,000 on the engine and its components. And you know, sometimes you run and you don't have much trouble, and sometimes you can run and throw away 50,000 on one run.
Sure, and that's got to be frustrating. You know, you put a lot of time and effort and money into one of these tractors, and it can all be blown at the start line.
Yeah, that's true.
How do you control that emotion?
Well, you know, it's frustrating, but then you got to go to work and have good people to help you and figure out where your problems are and try to solve your problems. Like the engine oil thing, that worked for a while, but we're back to tearing stuff up. So then we had to change maybe some of your clearances or this or that for your bearings, and you know, just figure out what works and what don't. It just takes time.
Sure. And through the circuit, I'm sure you've made some friends and at the same time possibly some enemies. What would you say is most beneficial as far as your competitors come into play, into the view?
Well, you know, everybody's your friend when they're beating you.
Sure.
And nobody's your friend when you're beating them.
Right.
So you know, I think what happens is most of the people that are into tractor pulling today are competitive people. They're competitive in business, or they're competitive, and well, they're just a competitive nature. So you know, I don't know. I guess we're competitive in our business. We work hard, and if we're going to pull tractors, we're competitive to do that too.
All right, let's go to someone with no experience, someone that just says, that looks like a lot of fun. How would someone like that get into tractor pulling?
Well, there's been people in this sport that has all kinds of money. Money's no limit, and still never done any good, you know, as far as winning. There's also the type that doesn't have enough money to do it. And I would say that, you know, first of all, in order to be competitive in the sport, it takes a lot of money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That was my next question. What is the big secret? I mean, here you are. You have won just about every award there is to win in the circuit at professional level. I mean, you're a celebrity as far as the tractor pulling goes. How does that make you feel?
Well, it's quite an accomplishment. We're happy about that. But you know, there's a lot of people in a lot of sports. I mean, this is just one of them that, you know, that really try to do the best they can. You know, I mean, you take, it makes you feel good. That's what you want to do, is try to win.
And you've met some really important people through this, and
yeah, I have.
And you've had some neat occurrences. Can you give me some examples of some of those?
Well, we've had a lot of good experiences. It's just unbelievable things that I would have never had the opportunity to do. We went with the Colts football team on the plane to Denver and stayed all night and down on the field with those guys, and they played Denver and flew back home with them. That's an experience that I would never get if it wasn't for Forrest Lucas. The Colts Stadium, being in his suite up there, or he bought the Hilbert Mansion, and that's something that wow, I've never seen anything like it. So yeah, there's a lot of things that comes with it.
Good, that's great. Okay, so is there you've got some great help, and you build these tractors yourself right here in the shop and from ground up. Is there how come it's your tractors that make it to the end every weekend after weekend?
Well, first of all, we build a lot of our pieces, but we don't build every piece. We have people who help us do things, you know, Ingram Machine or Riverside Engines or Columbus Diesel and the fuel pump and turbo business, but then we assemble and we machine a lot of pieces here. Tim Strickland worked for me, has worked for me since you were a kid here, and he's good at what he does. He really helps us. He's picky. You have to be real particular, and that goes a lot to winning. If you're going to win in this level, why, you have to be particular. You have to just, everything has to be about as perfect as it can be. Yeah, and that's
Great.
what it takes to win.
Great. And there's a lot of dangers that go into this. You were showing me some potential dangers that could happen.
Yeah,
kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Well,
what could happen?
you know, all motorsports has some danger to them. I think this one, of course, we do it, and I'm used to it, probably less dangerous than a lot of them. But yeah, we've had holes blowed through the hood blowed off, and the engine's split in half and everything else. But, you know, that's just the danger of the gamble you take, you know.
And so what is going through your head when you sit up there and you've got 2,700 pounds of torque underneath you? I mean, it's miraculous to me. It seems like
really, after you do it a while, I don't really think any more about backing this thing up to the sled and hooking onto the sled as I do a farm tractor to pack up to the plow. You know, not that much difference. I've done it so much.
And you've got some great family support as well.
Yeah.
And how do they handle the stresses? I mean, they got to sit there and watch you, knowing that, you know, at any time that thing could blow up with you on it, or, you know.
Well, Karen goes and tapes all the time, and that's a big help. And Greg, he kind of sees after the computer side of it, and we dyno these engines all the time, and that's helped us win a lot. But you know, if it wasn't for the family help, I would have never been able to have done what I've done.
That's great. That's great. And you mentioned the dyno. Can you give me a little bit about the dyno?
Oh, we
Tell me
have.
what a dyno is.
Well, what it is, it's a water brake, and it actually holds back the engine as you know, you have controls that controls the water and shuts it off and holds back on the dyno to load the motor from how many. This actual dyno has capabilities of 8,000 horsepower and 10,000 foot-pounds of torque, and you can load it down
And this just allows you to basically hook up engines right here in your shop without
hook them up right
taking
here.
them out to the.
That's right. Hook them up right here and you run them, and then when you get to the track, you know they're ready to go. Otherwise, you don't.
Great. All right, Steve. You travel quite a distance with the tractor pulling. What exactly? How many states do you perform in?
Well, I never did add them up. We go from New York to over Kansas City up to Wisconsin, and as far sometimes to Florida in the wintertime. But primarily it's been from the Midwest. You know, a lot of it's the Midwest.
Okay, and are these restrictions that you have to go and qualify to make the circuit?
Actually, what you have is about probably the same thing as NASCAR or any other motorsport. You have so many events that's on your schedule when you start, and you have to be at those events, and the tractor that finishes the best from the average of the whole year is the one that wins, you know.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not about having the strongest horsepower tractor. The boys both had stronger tractors than I did this year, and they could beat me on an even deal. But I ran the old motor I've won the points with 2 years in a row, and it was consistency. You know, sometimes you take any motorsports that if you run the point series, you got to be at the top really time after time after time, not necessarily win or every pull, but if you're broke, then you're way down in the back.
Sure.
So I guess I had an engine that was durable, and that's what I ran all year.
And so what does winning give you, Steve? What do you get when you win?
Well, that's the goal that everybody sets out to be. You know, they want to be on top and be the winner, and it's not easy to get there. I've been on the other end before,
Sure.
so that's it's fun to get there.
Oh, great. What would you say is your favorite aspect of the tractor pulling?
Well, probably the people you meet throughout. I mean, I got friends a lot of places that I wouldn't otherwise know. Whether not only tractor pulling. Some of the guys that do what you do. The media. They're just some great people out there. That's my greatest thing about it is the people.
Good. That's great. And Steve, again, I want to tell you I appreciate you very greatly for giving me this interview today. And before we let you go, I got one more question. And it's the famous, if you had it all to do over again, is there anything you'd change?
Probably not.
Do it all the same.
Probably so.
Great.
Yeah.
And again, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Thank
everything
you.
you've done for me. And good luck in your future.
Thank you.
And hope to see you on ESPN in the future here.
Well, we hope so.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank
All
you.
right.